morning, class 12. As you all know that we had started lesson number 2 from book 2 yesterday. The name of the chapter was The Era of One-Party Dominance, which we have started. In this chapter, we have gone through the challenges, the establishment of the Election Commission, and we were discussing that Election Commission of India faced few major challenges in its initial days. There was a challenge related to the electoral list. No count was there regarding the eligible voters in India. The major task was to delimit the constituencies for which the elections are going to be held. In 1950, the task was started, but at that time, there was also a problem that India was not at all competent enough to collect all the data. Election Commission come on about its own agendas. Ultimately, today we are going to discuss about how Election Commission conducted the elections in India in unusual circumstances. When Indian elections were considered, when Indian elections were conducted, they were considered as the biggest test for democracy. Why the biggest test for democracy? As at that time, majority of Indian population was poor and illiterate. The count in your book states that almost when the electoral roll was prepared, at that time 17 crore eligible voters were added to the list. But only 15% of them were literate. Rest of them were not. Similarly, in India, the decision was taken that the elections would be conducted on the basis of universal adult franchise, by which women get their rights. But again, at that time, even many countries of Europe and North America were not had not granted rights to the women. So, when Election Commission set out for the elections, it appears to be very bold and very risky task to establish government based on representative democracy. In such a situations, Indian elections faced criticisms from many sides. First of all, one of the Indian editor called the first general elections as the biggest gamble in the history, कि ये दुनिया का इतिहास का सबसे बड़ा जुआ कहलाया जाएगा. Similarly, the magazine named organizer said कि पंडित जवाहरलाल नेहरू अगर सरवाइव करेंगे, then he is going to confess, he will be accepting his folly and mistake for the failure of universal adult franchise in India. Similarly, there was one British member who was working with Indian civil services also stated that the future and more enlightenment age, हिंदुस्तान का उदय होते हुआ भविष्य और जागरूक भविष्य अब व्यू करेगा दुख वाला, एब्सर्ड वाला वो वोटर्स की आवाज को जो कि इलिटरेट लोगों ने खड़ा किया. Basically, he was criticizing कि when the government is chosen from the illiterate people, it is not going to work well. Ultimately, elections were held. It was decided that elections will be held from October 1951. Although the campaigning process started, but it took 6 months for its completion. Ultimately, in our first general elections were held from October 1951 say February 1952. Approximate the 6 months. In 6 months में campaigning से voting तक, when the maximum voting took place in January 1952. Polling से लेकर counting तक, all the process basically was done in the year 1952, January and February. Ultimately, these elections were held on the basis of universal adult franchise, where no discrimination was done based on gender, religion, region, language, ethnicity, tradition, or the place of birth. The level of participation was very much encouraging. Many people participated in these elections. Some as officers, some for campaigning, rest of them as voters. They all came forward to get enrolled themselves into the voters list. Similarly, Indian elections even at that time were competitive. एक सीट पर कम से कम there were 4 candidates who were contesting elections. Last but not least, whatsoever result came out of this first general election was accepted by all the masses at that time, whether the political parties win or lost, but they accepted all the result. So we have to remember the key point regarding the first general elections of India. When we do this, so we have to remember one more thing. We called, or the observers outside of them called, as the general elections of 1952, not of 1951, as most of the country voted in the months of 1952 only. When the results come out, बहुत सारे observers who were even at that time outside India and within India also proved the critics wrong, कि जो कहते थे कि इंडिया में इलेक्शंस नहीं हो सकता वो गलत है. टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया ने कहा, confounded by all those skeptics. confounded का मतलब बहुत ज्यादा हैरान हो जाना. अब वो सब हैरान हैं एंड दे ऑल आर स्केप्टिकल, भुचक्के रह गए हैं. बेसिकली उनके पास कोई जवाब नहीं है. जो ये कहते थे कि यूनिवर्सल एडल्ट फ्रेंचाइज जो है ये बहुत रिस्की है फॉर द डेमोक्रेटिक कंट्री लाइक इंडिया. ठीक है, कंफाउंडेड और स्केप्टिक का मतलब सेम ही होता है. सिमिलरली हिंदुस्तान टाइम्स ने भी लिखा कि देयर इज अ यूनिवर्सल आर्ग्यूमेंट. यहाँ यूनिवर्स का मतलब वर्ल्ड नहीं है, या यूनिवर्सल का मतलब है सबका एक ही आर्ग्यूमेंट था कि इंडियन लोग जो हैं वो इलेक्शंस नहीं कंडक्ट कर पाएंगे, लेकिन इंडियंस ने अपने आप के लिए इलेक्शंस कंडक्ट किए जो बहुत ज्यादा एडमायरेबल हैं, बहुत ज्यादा प्रशंसनीय हैं. इन्होंने वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री में ये प्रूव किया है दैट दे हैव सक्सीडेड इन कंडक्टिंग द लार्जेस्ट एक्सपेरिमेंट्स इन द वर्ल्ड. अल्टीमेटली जब क्रिटिक्स रॉन्ग प्रूव होने लगे तो इंडियन इलेक्शंस को जो है वो वर्ल्ड लेवल पर भी रिकॉग्नाइज किया गया. बहुत सारे लोग जो कि आउटसाइडर्स की तरह रह रहे थे इंडिया से बाहर, वो भी बहुत ज्यादा इम्प्रेस थे. उन्होंने यही कहा कि इंडियन इलेक्शंस जो हैं दे विल बी कंसिडर्ड एज अ लैंडमार्क इन द हिस्ट्री ऑफ द वर्ल्ड. अब ये आर्ग्यू करने की कोशिश नहीं है कि डेमोक्रेसी सिर्फ वहीं सक्सेसफुल होती है जहां पॉवर्टी ना हो, जहां इलिटरेसी ना हो. अगर लोग चाहते हैं तो वर्ल्ड में कहीं पर भी डेमोक्रेसी को इस्टेब्लिश किया जा सकता है. दिस इज ऑल फॉर टुडे.